Let's visit the 90s all over again. Put on those hammer pants. This is Dope Nostalgia.
This is episode 50. It's a big one. I'm very, very pleased that we've made it this far. And things just keep getting better all the time for the podcast. So thanks to you, we're doing quite well. We occasionally make it on to an iTunes chart, Apple Music chart. And that's pretty thrilling for me. By the way, my name is Naomi. I'm your host of Dope Nostalgia. Episode 50 has a very, very, very special guest that I can't even believe I got on the phone. The audio quality, we've worked on tweaking it a little bit because sometimes phone calls don't have the best audio quality. But my friend Mike Brazo helped me out a little bit with that. Just try to smooth it up a bit just so it can sound the best for you. The chat was fantastic. I learned a lot. I took some great advice and heard some amazing stories about what it's like for a strong female in the music industry and the things she had to encounter. That's going to be coming up very soon. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about our Patreon. Reason being, Patreon is existing right now to help pay for the podcast production. If you have the extra $1 or whatever to support the podcast, you just go to patreon.com/dope nostalgia. If you want to become a subscriber, there is bonus content available for you. There's bonus merch for different tiers on the Patreon as well. And yeah, it's just an absolute thrill to be able to do this show for you. So, hey, I'm just happy. If you can't afford to do Patreon, I totally get it. It's a tough time right now for a lot of people. Just the fact that you listen and you comment and you talk to me about how you like the show, that's enough for me. Sorry if you're hearing a little noise in the background. There's a little kitty. Little kitty making some noise. Another thing I wanted to tell you about the Patreon is I decided before there used to be some bonus video. When I did an interview, if there was video from the Zoom chat, it would go on the Patreon. After doing some thinking about that, I decided that I don't want to profit off that content. Like I say at the end of the show, artists should be paid for their work. And I don't want to personally profit in any way off of the time that they've lent me because they've done me such a huge favor just by spending the time on the show. Of course, we spend the time promoting what they're currently working on and trying to get their name out there. But I think it's really important to not profit off of that. So I'm going to look at subscriptions now. Like, you guys can feel free to help support the show because it does help me with my production costs. I do hope to make this a very viable podcast one day, financially. It'd be really nice if I could, quit my job and just podcast. I think that would be a lovely dream. Not reality at this time. But here's what happened with Patreon this year. We've had one amazing subscriber that put a lot into the show. And we made a total of $100 on the Patreon. So because of that, I'd like to thank Crystal Hicks for being my best supporter. She put in a lot to the podcast. She's a fantastic person who works at the Stollery Children's Hospital. So what I've decided to do is take that Patreon money, that $100, and I've donated it back to the Stollery Children's Hospital just in time for Christmas and hope to make a difference and pay it forward. So I want to thank Crystal for her donations, and I just want to make sure they're going to the right place just in time for the holidays. So, all right, let's get right into the show. I want to tell you all about my very incredible guest today. This is Alannah Myles.
Wikipedia Moments.
Alannah Myles was born Alannah Biles on Christmas Day, 1958, in Toronto, Ontario. She is the daughter of William Douglas Biles, who was a pioneer in the Canadian broadcasting industry and was inducted into the Canadian Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame in 1997. Now, the rest of the interview I'm going to take straight from her bio on her website at alannahmyles.com. All right, so Alannah Myles was born in Toronto, Canada, of course, listening to FM radio stations that introduced her to an international compilation of music. She was raised in the city of Toronto, where she studied to become a graphic artist, splitting time on her family's ranch in Buckhorn, Ontario, and spent her early years competing as an equestrian on the Ontario A circuit, competing in Canada's prestigious Royal Winter Fair prior to deciding that she would make music her calling. Alannah appeared as an actor in TV commercials, modeled, styled wardrobe for local celebrities, worked as a makeup artist and consultant to pay for her early demo tapes in attempts to secure a record deal for her team. Though she was born to a privileged family, she chose to remain independent. After a decade of paying dues, performing concert venues, drinking establishments, nightclubs, coffee houses, and hotel bars, she spent 5 long years recording her debut album released by Atlantic Records. Alannah was and will always be married to her music. The Alannah Myles' first self-titled album released in Canada in the spring of 1989 produced 4 top 40 hits: Love Is, Black Velvet, Lover of Mine, and Still Got This Thing. Released internationally in 1990, Atlantic Records finally hit pay dirt with her #1 international smash, Black Velvet, winning a Grammy Award for Best Female Rock Performance, along with several Canadian Juno Awards, a Diamond Award for sales in excess of 1 million in Canada, the only artist who still retains this status for a debut record. After its first year of release, Black Velvet received the ASCAP Award for over 1 million radio plays and the ASCAP Millionaire Award in 2005 for over 5 million radio plays. SOCAN in Canada awarded the songs Black Velvet and Lover of Mine, each with an award for over 100,000 plays in Canada in 2005 with her #1 hit, Song Instead of a Kiss, to follow. The follow-up multi-platinum album Rocking Horse in 1992 received a Grammy nomination for the title track Rocking Horse and 3 Canadian Juno Awards. Prior to her third 1995 Alannah album, she signed with manager Myles Copeland after attending his annual songwriting retreats held at the Marouette Chateau in France. After the sale of her 8 million records, she concluded her alliance with Atlantic Records, and in 1997, ARC 21 Records released her 4th record, Arrival, in 1997, which saw the top 40 hit, Bad For You. Atlantic Records cemented Alannah's release from her 7 and 8 album deal with a parting gift, The Very Best of Alannah Myles in 1999, a compilation released on Warner and internationally on ARC 21 and EMI, re-released as Myles and More in 2000 on ARC 21, containing hits from all 4 albums and is scheduled for termination. Funds from an out-of-court settlement with a national Canadian publication afforded Alannah the luxury of spending the time required to record, executive produce, and co-wrote 9 of the 11 tracks for Black Velvet, leased to an indie label in Canada, which has since 2013 been terminated. The album includes a contemporary remake of her classic hit, co-produced with Torontonian Mike Borkowski and Veronica Ferraro from France, mixed by renowned producer Terry Brown. The lease for Alannah's independently owned 2009 CD Black Velvet was terminated on September 1st, 2013, repackaged, retitled 85 BPM, with added tracks including an original re-record of Black Velvet. Return master recordings of her 1997 Arrival CD are now distributed by TuneCore.com, re-released to all online digital stores, with future remix plans in celebration of her 25th anniversary. Now listen, one of the most successful female artists in Canadian music history agreed to be on this show, and she's here telling you her story. And you know what else? Make sure, if you support Alannah Myles and you buy her music, make sure you're spending that money on her album 85 BPM, okay? Because that is the album that she's going to make money off of, not the record company, not Warner. Let's support Alannah Myles and check out this amazing interview. Welcome to the show, Alannah.
I want to thank you for your time today. I know you're probably very busy, and I want to know, what part of the world have you been spending your time in during this strange time?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm holed up there. I've been living in Toronto for a while, so I'm in a safe environment.
That's good. What would be one of your favorite places in Canada during, like, your touring time, and just basically from everywhere you've got to travel so far?
Least of all, where am I calling? What part of the country am I calling?
I'm in Edmonton.
Ah, okay. Edmonton was one of my favorites, not just because you're from there, but it was a very different audience than Calgary.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was. Everybody was just as sophisticated. They all loved the music, and in their own way, just as much as each other. But Edmonton was a city, and Calgary was like a village.
Yeah.
They may not want to hear me say that.
Hey,
but
I don't mind saying that, of course.
I found there to be value in both, because I was raised down in downtown, well, not in downtown, but I was raised in Toronto as a city girl. Mm-hmm. But and then the other half was raised up north in the Kawarthas, near the Indians and the Indian Reserve. So I got a lot of exposure to both, and I felt equally as comfortable in Edmonton as I did in Calgary. But they are very different.
Yeah, and I haven't been to Calgary enough to really notice the difference. One thing I thought about Calgary, though, is it seems aesthetically cleaner than Edmonton.
Let me think. That could be because of the population.
Possibly.
They're also a little more stringent in. They take more chances in Edmonton. It's a bigger city, you know. People want more from. It's like a small Toronto, and Calgary. Well, they're like a Stratford. They like their art and their fashion and their jewelry and their little places to eat. And their enclaves. You know, it's a very small little place with a lot of people in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's nice to have
my
that.
My favorite place. Gee, where? Wow. Who could deny places like Kelowna, Nanaimo, Banff, and Whistler? Well, it's beautiful, but I can't handle the elevation.
Yeah.
I got dizzy and kept passing out.
I suppose, like, the higher it is, the harder it is to sing and get, like, proper air.
Yeah, you're kidding. The air is so thin, and you can't figure out why you're thinking crazy thoughts. Like, it's okay if I put the cigarette out on top of your head, you know.
Well, you've always represented yourself as sultry, sexy, confident. What defines sexiness to you?
You know, it's a very, very good question. And I thought about this before I called because I remember you mentioning I read some of the copy before when Christian sent it over before we I thought about this because I think it's really important. If it's going to bug me, then I'm going to say something about it because I think it would help young. I don't have anything to say about the men because when men sing Black Velvet in particular, they don't sing it with an emphasis on sexy, quote unquote. They just sing it. Women don't do that. Women want to be me. Women want to be sexy, but they're not. What they don't understand is sexy comes from when you're not trying.
Yeah.
When you try, it's like being slutty or like a hooker or a prostitute. And it's like, and, you know, I might as well pay for it. But sexy, in my opinion, is the whispering in the ear of a child, positive thoughts, as you're holding baby Elvis in your arms, intro Black Velvet, just kidding. But, you know, it's not sexy, it's sensuous. And I think the epitome of sexy is sensuality. So if you can touch people's senses, like comedians can make them smile, or songstress can make a person, like Celine can make you cry, then you've touched a person's senses. And I think that's what sometimes, in an answer to your question, if you're, and this is for the girls, because the guys don't seem to do what the girls make the mistake of doing, in my opinion. Try more to be a really relaxed, like I sang Black Velvet in 99 degree heat, and that's where the all that really nice and so slippery stuff came out.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it. It just came out.
You're right.
Whatever was inside and hot was all like, oh, yeah, and out it comes. Like a real, like you don't even need to think about it.
You're right.
You know, and that way it kind of feel like you're sitting at the campfire. It's an acting job, I know, but to carve into or to tap into a sensuality in yourself in order for another person to feel it.
You're right. It has to be a natural thing because I've seen people.
It has to be a natural thing.
I've seen people.
It has to be. And I think I just touched on the ingredients. So if any of the young ladies are listening, pass it around. Because I'd love to hear a young lady sing from her heart, not what she thinks I'm going to like, or she's copying something I laid down. I laid down a blueprint for myself. But you have to know the ingredients.
And every female who wants to be a rocker seems to sing that song at some point either in their cover band or in. And
you know, it's not a rock song; it's a blues song. If anything, it's a country song, but the record company refused to allow you to put out a country version. Yet they made another girl record the video identical to mine, except supplant the horse with a bike. And her career went down the tubes. But at first, before people figured out that she'd plagiarized my video, they realized they didn't know that she'd been forced to sing the song by my record company. And I asked, why did you do that? And they said, well, we wanted to create a Led Zeppelin. You can't create a Led Zeppelin. Sorry, Led Zeppelin it or not. But they were, by being fake about it, they cost that poor girl her career and made her look like an idiot.
It's very rare.
Like she had nothing of her own, and she had plenty. She was a songwriter in Nashville.
It's very rare.
And it also depleted the whole point. I could have had a country song. For 20 years, they argued with me that, no, it's not a country song. No, it's a rock song. No. Oh, whatever. It's a country blues song.
Yeah. Absolutely. But, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen an instance where somebody did something that was considered a copycat or the record label said, let's make one of these, and it was actually successful.
No, I don't know either. You know what? Let me think about this. Hold on. Yes, there has been, because I know history. Celine Dion sang a song that Jennifer Rush sang called, there's a billion of them called the same title, called Da 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 Da. I am, what, lady something? Anyway, Jennifer Rush had a big, huge hit song. It was a ballad, power ballad, The Power of Love.
Oh, right.
And she had a huge hit with it in England and the rest of the world, and it touched down. It got top 40 in America, and Celine Dion cut it, and it went to number one. But, I mean, that's Celine Dion, okay?
Yeah, she's had pretty...
You know, she has the voice of power of love.
That is true. That's true.
And there are exceptions to the rule. One can't just dismiss because you think of it that way, because then you're taking away, again, it's from that singing from the gut. If you really love it, sing it. If you really don't, well, again, therein, when there's been songs I didn't want to do for whatever political reason, because somebody wanted to use me to get their jollies out, and I was like, I'm not doing that expletive song. And then after a while, when they forced me to do it, and I did it, I went, oh my God, I rewrote the song. I didn't get points for it because I was copying somebody else's song and doing my version of it, which is a shame, because if I, changed the words, I could have just made it my own and taken the credit. However, I did it to spite someone, and sometimes that anger, that Capricorn anger, just made me spite the performance, and out came, when I'm frustrated, I do strange things to a song, like, I think the first song I ever sang, Rock This Joint, the lyric wasn't typed out for me, and I'm not good with lyrics, so they have to be in front of me. Even my own, they have to be in front of me on tape deck so I can see. And even on stage sometimes, because I have a mind block, because I rely on what's going to come out, and then to the disadvantage of the lyric. So I don't want to forget the lyrics. I keep it in front of me as a roadmap. And we put the lyric up on a piece of paper, but I was so into it and couldn't see half the stuff in a dark studio that out came the song, and we couldn't better the song, so we put it out the way it was demoed the very first time it came out of my mouth, with the lyric content going, can't get you right out of my head. Well, now that's speaking in style, but 30 years ago, right out of my head wasn't really in English language. But because it was so spirited, and so I wasn't thinking about what I was doing, I was just expressing. We were smart enough, at least the producers were smart enough, David Tyson was smart enough to say, we had to, what they call baking the tape, because it's on 2-inch tape, it's before digital existed.
The analog.
But they had to bake the tape to get the oxidization off it, because the demos were about 3 or 4 years old by the time we got to mastering.
Right.
So we had to bake off the collected debris, which is kind of carbon dioxide and various films that gather on the surface of the tape to get rid of the hiss. Bake it, and so we could get the original version, because it was really good. And I can't, you listen to it and you go, wow. So, there's sometimes when, that was in the beginning when I think I was probably shown, like I'm telling this story to you now, but it was over the years I've learned something about myself, is that sometimes you've just got to go with the flow. And when you try and screw with that flow, you're really, like, that song, it may not have been a single, but people loved it like a single. It had life. And that's the way I want to make records. And it's so hard to commit to that vocal for me. When I see the red button in my head, I become like every one of those girls who wants to be sexy.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine that the red record button is going, and I imagine myself being someone else. So I kind of try to beat myself up over and over and over again until I'm so tired, out comes whatever I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Mary Jane steps in.
Yeah, no, you got to be authentically you for it to actually work.
I think so.
Now,
And I know that whenever I've lied to myself thinking I can sing this song successfully, I've been begging the gods to try and get me through it because I don't know how, I hate it.
mm-hmm.
So, but I'm one of those kinds of artists that someone really, really important, who a dear, dear friend like Corey Hart would ask me to do something, I'd actually say no. Because I have to feel it. And if I don't feel something, I can't do it. He understands that, so it's not rejection.
Yeah.
He just knows I'm like Mikey, and if Mikey can't do it, nobody can do it.
Well, that leads into me asking you another question about one thing I've had to encounter when putting my foot down with people about my limits is being called a bitch. Now, have you had to encounter this kind of ignorance from people for being a strong woman and saying, no, this is my limit?
Yeah, all after the age of 50.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody calls me a bitch now. They just think I'm a bitch. And I probably am. But it's wisdom coming out loudly, I say.
Right.
All I have to go on with that, with regard to that kind of a comment, is when I was making music, I was with a group of men who I don't have a career because of the group of men. When my career was, how do I put this? There's a book involved, but I don't want to be sued, so I'm not writing it. I'm not the kind of person that would ever cow to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I never got to where I got on my backside.
Mm-hmm.
Once I was sued, allegedly, by Bruce Allen, in a conference many, many years ago, the very, very beginning of my career, he announced in front of 5,000 people in BC, somewhere out west, might have been Edmonton. He announced, it might have been Edmonton, a conference, a music conference, and he announced in front of 5,000 people that somebody asked a question about Alannah Myles, and I guess Bryan Adams was down for a few records and not out there in the charts. And he was bored, so he thought he'd take a poke at me and did a Trump thing in hindsight. He did a Trump thing by saying, Alannah Myles would FK anyone it took to get her to the top.
Wow.
But the whole audience just went, oh, because everybody in the industry knew that Christopher Ward was my boyfriend of 9 years, and I'd had nobody, and we split up and continued.
Mm-hmm.
We still remained together as partners, but not romantically.
Mm-hmm.
It was a vicious, vicious swipe. Now, the problem was that about a year and a half later, I'd fallen in love with none other than one of the top people in rock and roll. So when my lawyers came to me and said, look, might not be a good idea to go to court with this one, I said, why? They said, well, you are effing someone at the top. And you did, the last boyfriend was Christopher Ward. Even though you've been with him for 9 years, the public looks at it like it's someone from the top. Now, this comment was made before I was romantically involved with someone in the top of the rock and roll world.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't help me, did it?
Well, isn't it still public defamation what Bruce Allen said? That can't be fought.
But you could put in the eyes of the witnesses watching my romantic life evolve, you could accuse me of that. And so I was directed by my lawyer, you could lose this case. So you could go out with all your ire and say, screw you, I'm going to win this. I don't know, can you swear on your show?
Yes.
Oh, well, fuck you. You're not going to win this case. I'm going to win it because I'm in the right. But in this case, it was too fragile. It could spoil my career to do such a stupid thing over pride, over a faux pas so large. So I would, hesitantly or really reluctantly went, okay. And because I didn't want to draw attention to my romantic life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a private person, and they knew that. So to keep things private, I said nothing, but I got a bill from the lawyer for about $9,000, and I sent it. The minute I got it, I said, "You sent this to Bruce Allen." Do you know what? He paid it.
Do you think he felt any remorse for his comment?
Of course, he paid the bill. He couldn't figure out why I dropped the case. And we became acquaintances. I like him. If I was still going at things, I'd have him manage me. He's an incredible manager.
Mm.
But, I actually, he invited me to do a show in Vancouver, and nobody believed I was going to do it. And I actually did show up, but I was 10 minutes late because I was confused about the time zones. But I did call in, and it was a really, really good interview. And it was lovely and very, very, in fact, this is an interesting story I'll never forget. And I was very grateful to him. I don't think he could figure out what the hell happened, why I didn't nail him for $9 million. Instead, I got a $9,000 bill from my lawyer that I said send it to him. He brought this on, and he paid it, and that was it. We dusted our hands off, and that was it. That was my settlement. Well, I bumped into Brian Adams in Germany one day, and he started to tell me about the story, and I went, oh, dear. And he told me a bit of a joke. It was a joke around their office. But I think only because I'd been, forthcoming and acquiescing to an interview with Bruce. And I'd done that funny thing with the send him the bill. You pay it, I'm fine.
Yeah.
But then when I did this interview with him, it was a few years later, and he got my back. And I knew what a great manager he was. Mm. I was on live, I think it was BC, he had a radio program, and some fan called in and said, I was watching you on stage the other night, and you called out you told somebody to fuck off, or you said this, or you bitch, whatever. Well, they were watching from the outside. But what they failed to realize was I was doing a show where in my contract it states very loud and clear you're not allowed to use smoke. They tried to use it in the day, and I was very clear in sound check about not using smoke. It's in my contract. Well, they figured while I was on stage I couldn't yell and scream, so they put up the smoke for the show effect and ignored my wishes, and I started screaming and yelling at backstage because my voice was going. Mm-hmm. I lose my voice. I'm allergic to the gas that they put, the oil that they put to smoke out the place.
Yeah, that's.
And I know this from all the television that I did, commercials and film that I did before music and film. That's how I knew to put that into my contract. But that's all the fans saw was me having a conniption fit, about to lose my voice in front of thousands of people. Mm. It was it could have been the Orpheum Theater, beautiful place or whatever, but it was a big place, and I was freaking out. But that's all the fans saw. So the fan brought that to the table, and he happened to call in and ask the question and nail me on it and say what a bitch you were really mean to everybody, you were blah, blah, blah. Ooh, pardon me. And you'll have to edit that. And Bruce Allen actually interrupted, cut the fan off, and said, oh, geez, I don't know how these people get through. They don't see what's going on, and then it gave me an opportunity to explain exactly what's going on. So I'm not a complete bitch. No. I am willing to understand that the rock and roll is a heightened industry, or an industry where emotions and ego and all those things can get very heightened on the part of both manager, the money makers, the artist, and everybody involved, the band, and those that don't feel that they're making their wage. Mm-hmm. It's all ends. You know what I'm talking about. That's, I think, why that musicians are the royalty, the modern day royalty. Mm-hmm. And I think also that's why we care. That's why we want to know. We all care about the 27 Club and why things happen to people. Mm-hmm. I learned the other day that the Doors were only a success because of the record company having some slot to fill. They had the music made, and it was just a slot to fill. It was political.
Really?
Yeah, nothing to do with his talent. I just thought, who is this guy? He can't sing.
I've never been a fan of the Doors myself, to be honest.
Oh, my God, I thought they were awful. And I saw something, it was a wonderful documentary on, who was it, for a film I can remember. And you could watch it, and they could tell you all about the Doors. It was really fascinating information. Mm-hmm. It might have been that canyon, L.A. Canyon it's on probably Crave TV or on a Canadian network, and it's on pay TV, and it's called Laurel Canyon or something like that. Mm-hmm. To do with what happened and all the people in Laurel Canyon, and then they touched down on a little bit of Manson and the murder, and a little bit on all the people that were in the canyon, and the Doors was one of them. And they then went into detail as to why and how they got recorded. It was just somebody needed somebody to fill it. Oh, you'll do. Here, step in. Okay, let's go. And they were hugely successful. So like Trump. Yeah, it was an accident, not waiting to happen.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This is Brooke.
And this is Nikki.
And this is my so-called whatever.
Hey!
Hey guys, we're an 80s and 90s / NKOTV podcast.
That's New Kids on the Block, if you didn't know that.
We're here to share your stories.
Yeah.
And ours.
Yeah.
And
have a good time.
Have a great time.
Let's be nostalgic.
Talk about what it was like growing up.
In the 80s and the 90s.
Talk about what we were wearing, the music we were listening to, the bands we liked,
the movies we watched,
the TV shows, all the pulp culture stuff.
All of that stuff. That's what we talk about in this podcast. So,
and a heavy helping of New Kids on the Block.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you aren't a New Kids on the Block fan, that's okay, because we flip-flop between the topics each week. So we do a New Kids on the Block episode one week, which we call the Block Party, and then we do a 80s 90s episode. So
which is 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
And we welcome you to listen to one or the other or all.
Yeah. Join us. Be our guest.
Be our guest. Thanks.
Bye.
Wilco believes in Christmas values.
We're dreaming of a white Christmas on our new VCR.
Every family would love a Sanyo VCR with on-screen menu programming and remote control. Now just $288.88.
Nintendo.
The hot gift this Christmas is a compact Nintendo Game Boy system, including Tetris Game Pack. Just $89.99 at Wilco.
Wilco believes in Santa Claus.
White Christmas, Dad. Bodacious.
I'm in the prime of my life. I feel like a kid. One of these days it'll all catch up. I'd rather fight than quit. I'm in the prime of my life. Something's gotta give. Even if it kills, I won't give up. Kill the killjoy. Live. There's a big hole in my heart where all the money used to be. Love's a crime, I've done my time as far as I can see. Trading all the bullshit, even if I lose. For all the rock and roll I've lived, I've drunk a case of blues. I'm in the prime of my life, feel like a kid. One of these days it'll all catch up, I'd rather fight than quit. I'm in the prime of my life, something's gotta give. Even if it kills, I won't give up, kill the killjoy.
One of the things that I've encountered, I used to sing as in my own band for 15 years, and I would try so hard to make everyone else in the band happy with me because I felt as soon as I put my foot down, I was being called a bitch.
Yeah, you know, it's too bad. I didn't care. I didn't care if they thought I was just see you next Tuesday.
But the problem with
I didn't care. I'm sorry, but I did not care because I knew what I had sacrificed, what the life I had given up. No children, no husband, no nothing, not even a lover. I didn't go to party. Everybody else went to the parties while I stayed in at night to go in my hotel room all night so I could sing the next day because I took what I do very seriously. And if I'm out partying, I've got no voice. I'm smoking substances, not cigarettes. I'm not drinking, but I'm putting weight on my voice, and then I'm not going to be able to meet my contract. And I was very responsible.
Yeah,
so that's why there's no dirt on me, because I was such a good girl. But, you know, damn it, if anybody, I was the boss.
Yeah. And that's good.
And I had my name. I wanted my name on it. That's why I changed it. It wasn't a very pleasant name, and I changed the last one letter and made Alannah Myles, and Bob's your uncle, and everybody thinks I'm Jewish. I'm happy with that, too, frankly. Born a recovering Catholic, but happy to be thought of as Jew.
No, and you should be
very happy.
You should be very proud of what you've done, and it inspired me because I realize now that I should have been stronger and I should have put my foot down.
Never regret. You can always start now.
That's true. That's true.
I'm still putting my foot down with people.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly to me. This is maybe a little bit too much for the show, but it's surprising to me how much. The role I chose to play in this life was extremely demanding, and it forced me to. Nobody could tell me what to do as far as my music was concerned. I wasn't going to sing anything you didn't want me to sing. My writers weren't going to make me sing anything that I didn't love, and if I couldn't write it myself, I wasn't going to sing it. So you really had to measure up to that bar. Otherwise, I wasn't going to sing it. I turned down Joe Cocker, for God's sakes. Sauce Jordan took the job. It's a shame, too, because she's got a great voice. She did a great job with Joe Cocker, but the song just wasn't right for me. And by that time, I was a huge success with Black Velvet. Why would I? And unless it was something I chose to do. But I could have said, hey, fellas, why don't we write a song for Joe Cocker and me to sing, not choose his lame-ass song, right? Sorry, Joe. But anyway, back to the point. You were saying we were talking about...
Basically...
I want to wind myself back.
No, basically like how we need to be strong and in control of our careers.
Oh, yeah, I know. I said it might be a little too powerful of a show, but I learned something about myself. By choosing a very difficult job, the universe put real challenges in front of me. Like, they weren't men, but they were my record company. They made me the top dog, like Alannah chose me by hand. All these enormous, born into a wealthy family, everything. There were so many challenges. Every time I went to write a song, something would break down on my tape recorder, and I would go mental, because how was I supposed to remember it if I didn't have it taped? There were always challenges. The greater your dream, the greater the challenge. So now, as I grow older, there's a lot of people that try and put their foot down with either my money or my deciding, my decisions, or whatever. It doesn't matter who they are. Someone's got an agenda, and they want to press it. And it's surprising now how, in my old age, how I'm still finding I still have to say no and mean it. Or I'm the one that suffers. And I think it's got something to do with violated children. I think early suppression of emotions, and I think early childhood exposure to not such great stuff, to negative energy, teaches us, for the rest of my life, I'll be having to learn the lesson of saying no. And I was born in that era where women were treated like I wasn't going to get a chance to be you two. Nuh-uh. No, Our World, Our Times was our lead-off single from the second track, Rocking Horse, and they said, no, we don't want it to be political. No, we got you two. We don't need another one. Nah, let's release Song Instead of a Kiss. What? Nobody knew who I was. It died. Not in the rest of the world. It went to number one. But in America, it died. And Madonna copied it. You'll remember her Rain video?
Yes.
Well, remember Song Instead of a Kiss? That's where she did it.
Interesting.
Remember Like a Prayer? Black Velvet had just come out. She dyed her hair black and put on a slip. Looked like me.
Oh, yeah. She had the curl going on and everything.
Yeah. She kissed Jesus. I think she blowed him or something. I don't know. It's something really rotten to Jesus. And I think it was a black Jesus, if I recall.
Oh, yeah.
And she just broke every rule. And at the same time, she thought, this girl looks too much like me, and she's got talent. So that's what she did. And then we were neck and neck with our singles in America. Do you know that Black Velvet is the only place in the world that it did not go to number one, was England. It was under Vogue. And her company pumped the money out to prevent Black Velvet from going to number one in England.
It's amazing what you can do with record company power, hey?
Yeah, I know. She was really visiting her marketing and distribution labels at that point in time. I learned that trick, too. If you go visit them, they'll pump your record first. So I'd be there right after Michael Jackson visited, or Pat Benatar, or someone like that. They'd send me, because they'd want to pump their single. I was just a pawn in a map. They just sent me around to these places. Oh, Coyote, stupid Canadian. You know, I just went where they told me, but I learned how the pawns work on the chessboard. I learned how the bread is buttered. And oftentimes I learned why. And I was just in your head singing Gloria. That was a song that was written by an Italian and a huge song, a 4 million, 6 million, or some ridiculous multi-million selling hit. This is 30 years ago, 35 years ago. And then they had, what was her name? Gloria? No. The song was called Gloria. They had some woman named, I don't remember, she was an Atlantic artist, and they dropped everything. She was, excuse me, but she was blowing someone at the top. And so they popped a few people out of the queue for that quarter release and popped her, Laura Branigan. They popped her in with the Gloria song. She had a huge hit song, and she was blowing somebody, so they popped her in. She had a hit song, and that's the way it goes. Another Doors was created. It didn't last. Neither did the Doors, by the way. Offed himself at 27.
Yeah, he's in that club.
Probably because he was so suffering from such fame and lack of talent.
Oh, wow.
Everybody makes him out into this poet, and I'm thinking, I'm waiting for the poetry. Gordon Lightfoot was a poet.
They never made sense to me.
Leonard Cohen was a poet of all poets.
Yeah.
We're all honored to have been born from the same place as him.
Yeah.
That mind. Oh. And Christopher Ward, if I can give him a little plug right now, he played me 3 songs from his new album, and I'm telling you, I'm breathless. The words, the music, the words. And he took some singing lessons, and he did a great job.
Oh, good.
He's coming out with a new record. And he wrote this one song called Sway. Just takes your breath away. That's a song I would sing.
That's exciting that he's doing a solo.
What I would do with it. It's such this week I've had a little hop down memory lane, listening to his music and his songwriting, and remembering what makes me fall in love. It's the person's. I could fall in love with Leonard Cohen tomorrow. I remember. Here's a funny story. After Fame, I'm sitting in L.A. in an Italian restaurant where all these conch shells are like Las Vegas. It's a dinner restaurant, Italian dinner trattoria or whatever they're called. And I'm with Christopher and Dave flanking on either side of me, and across from the conch shell, the other conch shell across the way, is Leonard Cohen. And what's the name of the girl that was in that Tom Cruise movie, Rebecca De Mornay?
Oh.
She dated Leonard Cohen. She lived with him for a while.
That's right. Okay.
Much younger. And I was so jealous of her. And she's there like swooning over him. He's there looking at me, paying absolutely no attention to her. She's more interested in me because I'm flanked by 2 men. My 2 men are all drooling over her, and she's drooling over him. And there was this reciprocal thing going on. It was hilarious.
Wow. All kinds of...
It's unreal. That's the way that the world works.
All kinds of attraction and that's...
Yeah, that's how attraction works. We all want what we don't have.
Yeah,
we all think something looks better than it is. This is a little mistake, I suppose, huh?
Well.
Oh, wow, I'm a Lottery Encore winner. I won an Encore ticket.
What's that?
We have gambling here. You do, too. It's the Lotterio, like Ontario's lottery.
Right.
Yours is probably the Manitoba?
No, it's the ALGC, the Alberta Gaming Commission.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Sure, you're in Edmonton.
Yeah. Now, who are some of your female music contemporaries that you still talk to and you've enjoyed working with or spending time with?
Females. Probably my songwriter, Nancy Simmons, who's pretty amazing. Deborah Samuel. She's right now. We're in the middle of doing 2 videos. We're doing a bunch of stuff for my 30th year anniversary because I love the number 2020, and I'm trying to get the stuff out, but COVID's been really challenging us, so I don't know whether I'm going to get it out in 2020, but it's going to have a 2020 label on it. Because 2021, I don't like that number. Sorry.
It doesn't flow off the tongue very well.
Really want to get a hold of me, don't they? Wow. Let me see.
There they are.
Yeah, same person. Anyway, sorry about this.
That's okay.
the females I have, let's see. I've worked with the Katrina Without Her Wave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Katrina and the Waves. Yes. Rockin' on Sunshine. Ah! She didn't write that song, but she makes money off it.
Mm.
Let's see who else. Never met a Eurythmics, Annie Lennox, but absolutely a fan, huge fan.
Oh.
Love her as an artist.
She's
what
fabulous.
A wonderful artist. You know, Aretha Franklin sings her ass off. She can sing circles around anybody. Christina Aguilera is one of the finest R&B singers in the world. What a voice. Wow. And she takes your breath away. It's like, whoa, what, this little girl, little thing can do that with her voice. She's so soulful.
And so
soulful. I love what she did with that song that came out with that English artist a couple of years ago. Beautiful. She was leaning up against the piano.
Was that Say Something?
Yeah. Oh, it just makes me weep even the title. Don't stand there and say something.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't stand there and say something.
I'm giving up on you. That one?
Don't give up on you. Oh, it just makes you want to weep. It's so beautiful. But we started this by saying poets and Leonard Cohen and all those people. People that really are gifted people with words. Robert Priest, I'm one of my favorite poets. I took a poem of his that Nancy Simmons, my collaborator, I was having trouble. I'd fallen in love with somebody and they didn't want me, and there was a ghost in this Crane Beach Hotel in Barbados on the Atlantic coast, the South Atlantic coast, the Atlantic coast, east side of the island. And I'd gone there, and there was this ghost visiting all the women at night, and they were complaining about him feeling them up. No ghost was visiting me. I was so upset. I was just shivering, and the wind was blowing, and I was all upset, and I couldn't write a song to save my life. And at the end of our 10 days, close to 2 weeks of songwriting, we were supposed to be there songwriting, Nancy gave up on me, and she just put Robert's poems, a flock of his poems on my lap. And one went by, went, no, next, and next. And then one came out, and I went, get your guitar. Now. Song. And out came the words. It just dropped out of my mouth. She couldn't play the chords fast enough to keep up with where the melody was taking me from Robert's words. It was in essence of the word, a true triad. She wrote the chords. I directed where I wanted my melody to go. Robert wrote the words that inspired me. It was just we all did our own thing. I didn't have anything to do with the chords. I wrote the melody and directed where the melody was going to go within the confines of the lyric. The lyric was what was mapped out in front of me. I took that as my direction. It was the most, and I had to fight to get that song on the record. I had to fight really hard. So I made it into an orchestrated piece. And I loved what Dave was doing. So the record company did too. And then circle back around to the question of, that's why they released Song Instead of a Kiss first. They took a bunch of artists like the guy from In Excess, who I'd met. Oh, and here's another one person. I loved him. Oh, Michael. All the women loved him. He was wonderful. Yeah, from In Excess. I Need You Tonight. Sexy singer.
Yep.
Michael, what was his name? Hutchins. I met him. He was delightful. I met him before Fame, when we were dancing in a party. I was wearing a dress, dancing up and jumping up and down to Tom Jones' song on his hotel room bed. Nothing hunky-funky was going on. We were just having fun. But then I met him later on when I was famous, and we were label mates. And he was ever so nice. And such a lovely, down-to-earth person. And I'd have gone out with him, except there was this beautiful model girlfriend. She looked like me.
Was that when he was dating?
Who was she? She's beautiful. She lives in Prague. Anywho, as you can see, I'm terrible with names. Eventually, I get them. Both In Excess and Mick Jagger, who've written a beautiful ballad, and my Song Instead of a Kiss, and a few other artists from Atlantic at the time who were on the same label, run by the fellow that was at the top at the time. And because they wanted to have Grammys, they weren't making decisions based on the intelligence. The managers were helping. Like my manager said, release Our World, Our Times. And they said, no, let's go with the song she wrote. We're going with the sensitive songwriter thing. No, but you don't understand. She's a rock artist. She's got all these rock people. Put out a rock song. Let her rule. And they said, nope. So they did the same thing I found out later to Mick Jagger and Michael Hutchence and a few others. They all put out ballads, and they all died. And all the money they spent, they had allotted for the full year for all our campaigns. For, like, they give you 4 quarters of money to spend on the promotion. They spent it all on the first promotion, so there was no money left, so they lost all the records. They all died. Every single one of them. And they're all brilliant records. Including Rocking Horse, if I do say so myself.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well, that's where that went. Their ego. They just wanted Grammys. They were only thinking Grammys. Just like the Republican Party right now, thinking, I just want to get what I want. I just want what I want. It's the American principle towards things.
It's not for the greater good. It's selfish.
No, it's not for the greater good. It's for what we think is going to, and we're smart. We know.
Mm-hmm.
They're riding on real high on their laurels and not trusting the artist or the manager or anything. And if I had gone the route my manager wanted to go, well, here's the thing. My manager was Danny Goldberg. He was a real trendsetter in those days. He managed Nirvana, Pat Benatar, me, Bonnie Raitt. Oh, my God. Who didn't he manage? So he was managing me, and he came to the record company, and he said, we got to do this, Our World, as a lead-off single. It's going to be a killer. She'll sell 1 million out of the box. Well, the next thing you know, he decides to leave management, go and become a record company vice president at my record company, and can no longer manage me. So he's now the record company, and then goes with their decision to no longer feels the same way about the single he was managing, and then goes with the decision of going with a ballad. And he flipped his decision. Gaslighting.
Wow.
No different. So my career suffered for political reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I have other reasons that I can't go into because I think it would be, I'll save it for the book, and I'll save it for when the people die and I can write it. Then nobody gets...
I hope there's a book.
I don't feel safe right now in writing it because why would I write a book that's half-truths?
Mm-hmm.
No one would believe me, and if I told them I don't want to go to court for the rest of my life.
It's just not the right time.
It's not the right time. Let the people die. Mm-hmm. Then I can say what I want, and they can't, sue me. They're so wealthy. Forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to toy with. I brushed with that dance before, and I took myself out.
Do you feel like they're losing their power in this day and age because everybody can release their own music now? They're not necessary.
Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that Black Lives Matter? Don't you think? It's not just a reckoning between the color of our skin, It's between the righteousness of what is right and wrong, period. You can't keep on taking from these people, these talented people, taking, and then just fucking lining your pockets and then dealing. I was broke. 18 of the 18 years it took for them to pay me my first royalty before I paid back $7 million that it cost me to pay for my recording career, because they took every dollar that I made and made me pay it back before I saw a penny. And in doing so, I was dead broke. I had to borrow $500 from my mother to get to New York City to master my first debut record, because they felt I was a woman, even though I'd been making it all along, and that I didn't belong there. Instead, they sent Christopher, the songwriter, and the producer. What? And they both knew that it was wrong. So I borrowed $500 from my mom to get down and stayed with a girlfriend who was an actress, and heard her acting coaching at 7 in the morning, and I was coming home at 3 in the morning from mixing every night in their studio. And then 3 albums later, I sold, upwards of 8 million records, and I'm borrowing $500 from my mother to get to the studio, to Metalworks Studio in Toronto, to mix my 3rd record. So that's how I was treated.
And they spend all
my first royalty check was for $5,000. A man cannot live on $5,000 in 3 months.
No.
So I then had to fight with Atlantic forever and ever and ever and ever to pinpoint the problem, which was I had 4 Atlantic accounts and I wasn't seeing any of the money.
What?
Yeah, I know. They condensed them. finally, now I make money.
Now, who is in your corner when dealing with finances? Did you have to have an entertainment lawyer to deal with all this stuff?
You're looking at her.
Wow.
All by myself. Nowadays, I tell people I spoke to my lawyer because that's what they need. I don't need to call a lawyer and have him hold my hand to charge me $2,000 to know what the answer is. I've been there. I've done it. I know. I tell people I called the lawyer because I'm a girl. And they're going to say, oh, no, you don't know.
Jeez.
I don't need to. I can tell you this because I feel it might help people listening. And I don't really give a shit.
So many people I've talked to have said, there's all this opulence, there's all this, you
really have to be as strong as I am a bitch. I'm not a bitch, I'm just really strong.
You're strong. Yeah, exactly.
I'm extremely strong, I'm suffering from physical ailment, but I'm still not going to die.
How are you doing with that?
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. Like I said, there's a book to be written, and I'm right in the middle of litigation, so I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't talk about what's going on. So I am okay. You can hear me. I sound okay. Physically, I'm a wreck, but I'll get there.
You sound great.
I have my challenges.
You sound great.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not finished with music either. My voice has not left me. It just takes a little while to get stuff out, I'm still working with Mike Borkowski. We're remixing my Arrival record and calling it Arrived. And I'm so pleased with the mixes. He's doing such a fine job.
Wonderful.
And Myles Copeland gave me back the, after much, begging and kicking and screaming, they gave me my record back, The Arrival, which I'm very pleased because I wrote the songs and I own it. And I leased my record to an independent label that took all the money. It came, I saw nothing except debt. And so I finally left after 5 years of leasing, and boy, did they get angry. And I realized now how much money they were making from me, why they were so angry. Because they were doing nothing and they were making money from me on their roster. So, and cachet on the roster, So it took me years, but I finally released on digitally in America. I have American bank accounts. I transfer funds. I'm the main cook and bottle washer. It was until I took back managerial possession of my life that I started making money.
My goodness, that's amazing.
Yeah, I'm afraid an artist has to be the financier. If they're not, you watch the money go in other people's pockets, and I'm talking many zeros. Time.
Well, I'm glad you're in a position now where you can be the one making the money.
Yeah, it's nice, and I've still got a voice left, and I'm not done yet.
No, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you're going to be performing and releasing soon. I saw a couple
pretty
of
much regurgitated stuff because I'm not able to move forward with a record. It's expensive, and I'm not going to. I spent $250,000 on my last record, and I'm not going to make it back for another 10 years. So I think I will invest when the right time arrives. Right now, I've got too many things in front of me stopping me. So I'm just taking what product I do have and making it like product. I got some really great songs that I've not released ever, and I own. That I could make some, just introduce. Maybe they could be in movies. I don't know. You just got to get it out there. And I'm putting out a record called Demos with a super sexy picture. And if anybody ever had any doubt as to which picture, the one with the clothes on or one with boobs and legs, I released it on Facebook and got about 7,000 hits in about 2 days.
Nice.
So I think people like the boobs. I think I'll go with the boobs. Yeah, I think I'll go with the boob shot. And I'm calling it Demos. I'm putting a bunch of stuff on it that I found in my arsenal. And it's really good. House of Love, what a great song. It gives me such joy now to hear it. I don't know why I didn't release it. I don't know why. I guess maybe because, when you hear the song, you're going to think I'm singing about the guy in the White House. Living in the house of love, living in the house of love. Joker's turned into a clown. You'd think the whole parade had drowned. Living in the house of love. It's very interesting, the timing. I wrote it 20 years ago and demoed it with a guy in England that worked with Robert Plant, Phil Johnstone. He'll be delighted because he'll make some coin out of it. If it goes viral, we'll all make money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm actually looking forward to it. I love being a record company owner, and I love doing it now. I was so frightened that I continued down the path until 3 record companies later and $0 in the bank. And now I've got money in the bank. I'm managing it well. I don't have a car because I can't get from A to B at this point in my life. But it would be, ridiculous to spend the money unless I need it. I will one day when I need it. But right now, you'd be surprised how much a car takes up of your yearly income.
A lot. Just insurance alone.
Whether you drive it, rent it, lease it, own it, or what?
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive. Who's going to lay out $60,000 for a vehicle? Or in my case, 80 or 100, right? Because I'm going to want a nice schmancy one. Whatever.
True. No,
I've gone from Hondas to Mercedes. I go in between. Doesn't really matter. You go with what you can afford.
Yeah.
However, I think I understand the path now, and I still got about 25 or 30 years left on this planet to go to go change a few things. So maybe if I get really smart, I can help other people because it's so easy for me now.
Mm-hmm.
I understand how people took advantage of me. It was so easy. All you did was take it, put your name on it, put it in a company, and then give that artist maybe 15% and keep the rest.
Well, even you just sharing these experiences is helping somebody. It's definitely helping me, and it's helping the listeners that they're going to know, okay, well, these are the pitfalls. You got to avoid these.
They must know themselves, and they must say no. It's sort of like Dragon's Den or Arch Tank. There's a point. It's a volatile teeter-tottering, as to when you say yes to the deal because you got the help you need. Like, I can bitch and complain all I want, but if I did not have Atlantic Records manning my music, nor had I not had Fran Lichtman, who was the head of the international department, pushing my record for me internationally, I would never have been a success outside of Canada and had a career and making money all over the world now.
Mm-hmm.
That never would have happened. It never would have happened if I signed a deal in Canada. But I was rejected outright. I was rejected by every record company that was possibly known to mankind in Canada, and they all know it, and they all hated me. And if they're listening now, too bad, motherfuckers. You can say what you want. You didn't make me successful. Atlantic Records did because they had the money, and they were smart enough to leave Christopher and David and I alone. And let us do our thing. No A&R man has ever told me what to do until Myles Copeland, and boy, do we have fights. Mind you, when we fought over songs, it was like Everything Missing, or off my Alannah record, the third record, and the other one was, hold on, Everything Missing was on, it was on my Arrival record, which I own. I'm working on it now, Wicked Drums. And that's the one I rewrote. I was so angry because I didn't want to do it. I said, I'll fucking show you. And then out that came, and I went, wow, you should get angry more often. But, there was a wonderful song I didn't want to put on my record, and Myles Copeland fought me on it, and I did it out of spite, and I'm really glad I did.
Which one?
Everybody's breaking up. It's really, really dark and dreary. But it's a wicked vocal.
I want to play a clip of it on the show.
It's just terribly a sophisticated lyric written by Pat McDonald from Timbuk 3, Future So Bright, Gotta Wear Shades.
Yeah.
And he's a wonderful, wonderful writer. I just love him. What a great writer. Wonderful guy to work with. I was so spoiled. I got a chance to go to Myles Copeland's castle and write with all these best writers in the world for about 3 years consecutively.
Mm-hmm.
It was really a lot of fun. I've had a fun career. I've had a lot of fun, and I've been very spoiled. I really did come with a silver spoon in my mouth. I held out for what I knew my music deserved because I really believed I was born to be an artist. And I really knew I really needed the love of people in my music. They didn't have to love what I look like. They didn't have to love anything else, but they had to love what I created. And I worked very, very hard. And as I said earlier, I sacrificed more than you can possibly imagine. And so I earned it. And so when I look back now, I look back fondly on all my sacrifices and recognizing that with no pain, no gain. You know, I hear young ladies, and they listen to a few other singers scratch and warble their way through a vocal, but they forgot to belt it out.
Yeah.
They forgot to use what God gave them, their diaphragm, their lungs, you know. Take a few, go to the best vocal coach you can find. Ask around for a good vocal coach from one of the top bands that are being put out by a record company that they're paying a vocal coach to train them so they can keep their voice. Go take a few lessons and learn how to sing.
Yeah.
I did. Christopher went back to the same person who taught me a few of those lessons. It was the same woman. What was her name? I roll my eyes in the air. Lane's Overholt. And she coached the people from the movie from Chicago.
Okay, yeah.
Big Gear and all those. It was great. She coached them for that movie. And that was my coach. Vocal coaching. And it teaches you to open up your voice. If it wasn't for vocal coaching, I didn't know I was going to be singing show after show after show, night after night, and lose my voice have my voice, have to threaten them like Stevie Nicks that, you either stop and go one on, one off, or we quit and get a lawyer's letter drafted because you still lose your voice. That's how hard they push you.
Yeah. You have to sing it.
They don't care you're going to lose your voice.
Night after night after night, and it's like, it's an instrument.
It's so frustrating when you get really, really important. If you don't have the management, and I did not have the management, nobody took care of me. In fact, they just bailed and went to the record company. And then Myles was my manager, but eventually, when I got off the label, he wound up becoming my record company, and then conflict of interest. You have to have a manager pushing, and eventually I left him, and I'm sorry that there was people in the way. I wish I'd stayed with them. We would have worked it out. We would have figured it out. But there were people in the way, and they were mean and cruel, and he wasn't recognizing it. So I left. He knows now. We all know. Doesn't matter. He just consulted me actually for a book he's writing. Asked me to shed some memory on some of the things that had happened, and I gave him a detailed description of how we met, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
It was really nice. I like harmony between people. I'm meeting with Christopher on Sunday, my songwriting partner, and David Tyson. I sent him a check from one of my records that from the Black Velvet. He reproduced he did an original version, reproduction of Black Velvet for 12 years, the record company wouldn't allow me. It was in my contract, and I couldn't fight it because I didn't have an American lawyer for 2.5 years. And 2 years of the statute of limitations kicked in, and I couldn't sue. So I was in this bum deal for 8 albums and I'm fucking this huge star with no money. And nobody believes me. Germans would laugh at me. They go, you're broke. She's broke. Not funny. But they thought it was ludicrous. That's why they laughed. They're funny people, Jerry. I love them. So, what happened was the record company stopped me from re-recording Black Velvet for 12 years. So the minute I got my that contractual obligation was freed, I cut it again. About maybe I cut it 5 years ago. But I waited about 3 years, and I got David to recut it for me. And it's almost identical. And I did it for a reason. I want to make 85%, not 15.
Amen.
And if somebody wants to advertise it, well, use mine. I'll charge you less. So I've undercut my record company. Screw them. I'm within my legal right.
How can we do that? How can we make sure that we're playing your version so you get the credit?
You go to the 85 BPM record. And the third track in is Black Velvet, like the first.
Okay, good. Well, we're gonna plug that. We're gonna plug that.
Go to Apple or Spotify and go to 85 BPM. Just look for the black label with the tits on it. It's tits and crotch. It's like 85 BPM is my heart rate, and it's also the lead off signal, which is called 85 BPM. It's a silly little drum machine. It goes 85 BPM, and then this song kicks in for the first track off the top, and then I put the Black Velvet third. But the remake, but that's where you'll find it. You buy that one, you're going to get the original, and you pay me, not the record company.
Good. That's the one we're going to promote then.
And then I pay the writers.
Excellent.
And the producer, of course.
All right. Everyone's heard it here first. That's where you find it. 85 BPM. That's the one.
85 BPM.
I have a listener question for you, actually, about your photo shoots and your wardrobe over the years. What was your favorite outfit that you ever wore? That was a question from James.
I haven't worn it yet.
Ah.
Oh, fuck. There's so many nice clothes out there. I haven't worn it yet. But to be honest with you, I don't know if it ever got seen because I bought this stunning sea glass aqua sheer silk sort of Edwardian mini dress with a princess waistline and 3 little silk buttons, and it draped off, and it had this sash that was really, really wide, and you sash it around the shoulders to make it like Carolina Herrera, and I wore it with pearls and Indian jewelry, like ugly dark silver jewelry, and beautiful thick pearls and beautiful earrings, and I wore it to a benefit for AIDS in Toronto many years ago, around 1995, something like that. Mm-hmm. And it was stunning. And I wore it with a black leather jacket.
Oh, well, was that the last time you wore it?
What's that?
Was that the last time you've worn it?
Yeah. It's the only time I ever wore it.
But you better do it again. That'd be great.
It kind of faded. I think it worked only then, you know. But it was just beautiful. Let me think. I bought more and sold it. I had a merch shop, and I'd buy stuff wholesale, or I'd find it and sell it for the price that people were willing to pay, and with my name on it. But people bought it; they weren't buying it for my name; they were buying it because it was a gorgeous piece. And I bought some beautiful stuff by what's his name? Oh, he starts with a C. Scabudo? No, that's a photographer. But anyway, I do my own wardrobing. I was going to work with a girl prior to the COVID sanctions that prevented us from doing a video with having to wardrobe it, but I would definitely hire her to do a documentary if that comes up. I don't know. I'm not ready for that yet. We're going to go work on videos and get my profile up and put some visual content out there prior to these new, releases of new material, new old material, but it's new to people. They never heard it. Some of it they never heard before. Which is very cool. I got one song all about sex that I wrote with Mark Hudson. It's called Who's Next? And it was a duet written for me and the Aerosmith dude, Steve Tyler.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it right here, Steve Tyler was too jealous to sing it with me.
Oh, Steve.
Fucker. Fuck you, Steve.
Missed out.
Ouch. Yeah. I like Steve. We met each other many times. He was very nice to me. I liked his partner, too. They were both nice fellows. But anyway, he wouldn't sing it with me. He thought I'd show him up. He's very insecure. But he's a fool. We would have done a wicked job on it. I think maybe because he didn't write it.
You think so?
Well, if I were him, I would do the same thing. You got a record that's going to sell Love in an Elevator and millions of records. You want to make sure that all the songs on it are written by you. Yeah. And I had written the song with his writer, Mark Hudson. It's called Who's Next? And it's this fantastic song about what goes on in the mind of someone leading up to sex. It's very rude. You can imagine the chorus goes, stop. Who's next? Oh, it's just like, if I release this now, I'm working on the mastering of it right now. I finally found a copy of it on a DAT that I can now master properly because it was only a demo. Yeah. But I can get the mastering fellow, Peter J. Moore, does a wicked job. He's one of the finest masters in Ontario. If maybe there's 3 guys one in the East Coast, one in Quebec, and one in Ontario. and maybe there's somebody in Edmonton, I don't know. But anyway, he's going to master it, and I'm going to put it on this record, and it could still see life in films, or it'd be a great song for a impacting moment. You know, there's still life left in my repertoire, which is really fun for me to play with now and own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that you're in control of everything musically, financially, do I have your permission to play a few clips from some of the Spotify songs that are under your name and your release? Because I am registered with SOCAN, so.
Oh, no, you're welcome. It's all licensed.
Okay.
I license it with TuneCore, so all of the stuff on Spotify is all mine.
Nice. Okay, good.
Except for the first record.
I'll just
Actually, that's not true. First, second, and third. Alannah owns that.
Oh.
And that's fine. But there's Arrival and 85 BPM.
Yeah.
I own.
Okay, good. I'll play a few clips, so just some clips so that people can get a taste of what they're, besides the big hits, you know, I want them to hear some of the deep cuts.
Yeah, some of the deep cuts. I learned as life grew on, people were, the commercial crowd was offended when they heard some of the songwriting albums. I didn't have Kurt playing on the Arrival record, which so I just had a soloist record. Mm-hmm. And the only one that noticed Kurt. He called me up and he said, "Nice work, Alannah." I said, "Well, it's our secret." I just thought if I can't have Kurt playing on it, we were going through a breather. And we're buddies now. I just love him a bit, so I got to play on the next stuff if I can.
Mm-hmm. Good.
He's dying to play back again with me, but you know, nobody's touring right now.
Nope.
Everything's on hold. We're all looking for creative ways to get our music out to people, to make them laugh and cry and smile and dance. And Lord knows, make babies again.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be, if you look at this in a positive light, it's the time to make that music, write that music, get it out. And
yeah, you're right. And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm using the money that people pay me for my records, my recordings, and they do now, finally. Mm-hmm. And I'm playing catch up, and I'm spending that money rather than putting it in the pockets of the government. It's within my legal right to spend money on my own career because I own myself. So I'm putting my money, my hard-earned dollars, the money that people have been so kind enough to play from every time they spin my records. I'm putting that back into new music for the people.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, I think you got to do that.
Thank you for still doing it, Matt. I can't wait.
Oh, I'm excited about it. You're kidding? I can hardly wait to. It's exciting for me because there's something at the end of the tunnel for me. But no wonder I was such a pea in the what do you call that? Stick in the mud. Because I was making all this music and everybody was making all the money. That's why I put a naked person holding a horse, like they've been squashed on the second album. Mm-hmm. You know, and like a naked woman, like Lady Godiva, she's got nowhere to go, so she's going to stand loud and proud naked, clutching onto this horse that could crush her beneath its feet.
That's the imagery.
Yeah. I drew it on a plane on my way down to decide the record jacket. I didn't know what it was going to be. And I'd lost my Deborah Samuel because she had a fit over the way she was treated. And I wanted to make more music with her, and they offed her after all those successful videos. They said no for Black Velvet. And what do? I want the record company, they're spending their money. They went with Americans. So she was so upset. I can't work with your people. So I was in LA, and I went, oh, please, Deborah, don't do this. So I went, and I found this group, a husband and wife team. I picked them, and I went to the record company, and I said, I drew a picture of me clutching on the horse. I drew what I saw on the front cover, even though I didn't know what was going to make the front cover because you go with the best photo. Mm-hmm. But I drew on the cocktail napkin from the Air Canada cocktail napkin. I drew a picture of me with my arm curled up around the neck of a horse, a big Neanderthal Frisian horse, which is really, really thick, long mane, and I put on a fringe vest, and I stood naked holding the horse, and opted to wear no underwear because I would have had to airbrush out a thong. Yeah. And I didn't enjoy that part. I don't like posing naked in a desert underneath a horse with pie plate feet. You know, they just swap a fly, and it's their foot's on top of yours. Yeah. But that's what we did, and all for the case of art. and I couldn't use the album jacket in certain places like Malaysia. They had to use the one with clothes on because they can't depict women that way.
Right.
And like there's a naked picture now, well, half naked, and it's a beautiful picture Deborah wanted to use as the front cover for Arrived. I said, no, I can't do that. I won't get seen in Japan, Malaysia. There'll be plenty of countries that are open to the music, but no, they won't release it. They'll just show X. So I've chosen the shot, it's very contemporary, very theatrical. Bill Bowler. From the same shoot. It's beautiful. So she dressed it up real nice for me, made it up like, it's already on the TuneCore docket waiting. I just have to wait for the materials to get mixed and mastered.
I like that TuneCore.
Good enough. Anyway, they're there to look for 2 new records. I don't know which one's going to come first. Arrived and Demos 2020.
Excellent. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Good.
And Demos 2020 is going to take you for a loop. I'm going to play a few different songs in different languages.
Well,
French and English. No, French and Spanish.
Nice.
Yeah. I did them. Why not share them? Absolutely. I know it sounds like I'm singing French with a Portuguese accent, but whatever. They'll laugh at me, I know, but at least I tried.
Oh, no, I'm excited for it, and I'm going to make sure that all the links are out there that people can find everything that you've...
Well, you've been a delight. I really enjoyed your interview, and when I got sent the link, I went onto your site, and I could tell I liked you right away, and you do have a singer's voice, a lovely voice.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've learned a lot today talking to you, so...
Oh, how nice. Isn't that lovely? Thank you very much. I'm glad.
I'll be putting this one out on the week of Christmas.
How nice. My birthday.
Mine's on the 27th, so how do you feel?
Oh, you know what it's like to not have a birthday.
That's right. Everybody is always gone somewhere else.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'll be putting it out that week, and then I'll tag you in all the media, and I'll share some...
I love you, Myles. I'll make sure I put it up on my social sites.
Thank you so much, Alannah.
All right, anyway, you take care. Thank you very much for a lovely, lovely time.
Yeah, you too, and be safe out there.
Yeah, you too.
Right.
Stay safe, okay?
Okay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Can't stand the rain again. I can't stand the rain again. I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories. There were no pains. How sweet it used to be when we were together. Everything was so grand. Now that we have parted, there's the one sound that I just can't stand. My window, bringing back sweet memories. Can't stand the rain against my window, 'cause you're not here with me.
Best time ever. best interview ever. I don't think I've ever been so happy to have had such an experience like speaking with Alannah. I'll tell you that. Very inspiring lady. Thank you, Alannah, once again for your time. You can check her out at alannahmyles.com. Shares all the links to her social media, and you can buy her music directly off the website and make sure that you are supporting her directly, okay? Now, before we leave, I just want to tell you next week we have a special guest by the name of Adam Emil, who's a musician who's got to tour with so many 90s artists and do so many cool things that he's going to tell us all about. And that will be coming out obviously right before the end of 2020, the worst year ever. But I do want to take this time to thank you once again for making my year, for being a listener, for even if you just discovered this podcast. It means a lot to me that you listen, you engage, and that you share it with your friends and other people who might be interested. Thank you for supporting Dope Nostalgia, and I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas and happy 2021. Be very safe out there, guys. Take care.
Follow us on Facebook at Dope Nostalgia, Instagram Dope_Nostalgia, or on Twitter at Nostalgia Dope.
This podcast is licensed by SOCAN because we believe that artists should be paid for their work.